Welcome back to our weekly sessions on new home sales. Our goal is to be trained by the professionals in the industry, and over time we hope that not only myself, but you could be educated by other peoples in this sector who are interested in contributing to education and bringing up brokers and broker talent in the space of new home sales. Year over year, this sector has gained more market share, whether locally or nationally, and this is why we believe that brokers need to move more and more into this space and understand how new homes works, how the processes work, how the product works, how you get your business more exposed to the new home sales, and how you cultivate more transactions out of this space. Every week we bring in a new lesson that has to do with new home sales, whether it's a sector of new home sales or it's a contributor or it's people who are involved in the new home sector. But our goal is to get as much information out there to the broker community that they can understand how new home space works, all the parties involved, people who are contributing to that space, and how you could be a contributor in that space also. We always start or have a motivational thought of the day, and today it's understanding the language of numbers. It is so important to understand numbers, how numbers work. I don't mean 1 + 1 = 2, that too, but that's the baseline of numbers. What I'm talking about is working on bigger sectors of numbers. Learning financing, learning accounting, learning profits, learning ROIs, learning a lot of layers that go up and build up in the numbers game. Because making money in the industry of real estate is all about a number. Are the numbers making sense? And that's part of our conversation today of an investor. Do numbers make sense? And this is what my builders say, this is what my developers say, this is what my buyers say in resale. Can I afford this payment? It's back to a monthly number. Is this mortgage payment sustainable? So the language of numbers is so crucial in our industry. You have to grow in understanding finance and numbers and how all of that overlaps. So take more classes online, whether on YouTube or other areas, and learn the game of numbers. Look at spreadsheets. Look at the CD from a title company and figure out what are all these line item expenses. You know, when something goes up in price, it affects everybody. It affects your buyer, seller. When finances starts to cost more, when interest rates go up or interest rates go down, all of this is fully a numbers game. So when you wanted to buy a $100,000 home at 7%, now it's at 5%, that changes everything. Or the opposite, you're trying to buy a $100,000 home, the interest rate was at 5, now it's at 7, that changes the game also. So it's a numbers game. Real estate is a heavy numbers game. How much appreciation, how much taxes, how much insurance, and so forth. It's all numbers that you have to start to get more and more acquainted with in your day-to-day transactions and your day-to-day business. So learn the language of numbers. In our previous lesson, we talked about the life of a team leader. Why did I call it that? That training, the life, meaning your day-to-day tasks that are within the context of your responsibility as a leader for the team that you're eventually moving from one direction to another or one path to another. And our whole goal in our education is so you can move your business slowly into the new home space and understand how it works, understand how it's a contributor, understand its timing factor, because markets go up and down. Markets are never stable. They go up and they go down. And throughout the market cycles, new homes has its levels of contribution towards the market cycle. And we need to study these things. And all of them, whether it's new homes, resale, or distress, they all have their complement within the context of a market cycle. And our goal is to understand, where's the market going? Is it going up or is it going down? Or is it kind of flattening out? And see what's contributing to that market. Is it more resale? Is it more new homes? Is it more distress? So the life of a team leader studies all of this. They see where the market is at, and they lead their team to the highest return within the context of that market. Today, we want to talk about the life of an investor. A lot of people think like an investor just sits there and collects money all day and doesn't do any work. And that is absolutely not true. Investing and being an investor is a true day-to-day job. I met investors that have $1,000 and hundreds of thousands and hundreds of millions. All of them have a job. They work. They put their money to work in the market. They have to study. They watch analytics. They have to network. They got to figure out, is this guy a good partner for us? Or is that guy a good partner for us? Is that guy a partner? Because the last thing investors want is to become a developer or builder because the investment that was made was a very poor investment, and the guy who's supposed to be performing on that investment is not fulfilling his duty or his job. So the life of an investor actually has day-to-day tasks that must be completed for that true investor to stay in the business of investing. And that is what we're going to be talking about. So the first thing is an investor has to set goals and strategy. They have to understand, what are we doing? So if you're just a broker and you want to become an investor, and a lot of brokers do become investors, what is your goal and strategy? Hey, you know what? I'm going to make so much money in commissions, then set aside so much money, and then go buy my first rental property. Or I'm going to be an investor, and then I'm going to learn how private capital works, and hopefully I can eventually lend into private money and be a private capital. So whatever your interest is as an investor, but you have to set goals, and you have to understand, what are you going to do with the money that's going to be allocated to you? Where's it going to go? Which market is it going to go? What products are you going to finance? And what I found in investors is everybody has their box. We call it for buyers, buyer box. For investor, I'd say their investor box. What they truly want to use their capital for and what they don't. Some want to do multifamily and love to invest in multifamily. Some love to invest in mobile home parks. Some like to invest in single-family residential. I know this guy, he wanted to buy 300 single-family residentials in the area that we live. And that's what he did. He only looked at single-family residential. He did not spread himself thin on other sectors. He liked SFRs, and that's all what he did. Other people like other sectors of the market. But as an investor, you have to understand strategy and your investment goals. Are you in short-term holding, long-term holding? Are you just in fix and flip? Are you just in financing, and so forth? Second, finding investment opportunities. As an investor, you have to seek out opportunities. And I'll say the broker network is a phenomenal place to go. But there's other networking opportunities or gatherings out there, whether it's wholesalers or bird dogs or brokers or lenders or just maybe people in the community that you drive by. But finding investment opportunity. Who are the people that are going to contribute to helping you find the opportunities? And that's a question an investor has to ask. What is his team going to be of? So if you're a lending and a private lending capital group and you're investing and you say, we want to work with builders and we want to give them money so they can build homes, sell the homes, and then give, well, that's the strategy. So who are the contributors? The opportunity is going to be among the builders. So now you're prospecting builders for that opportunity. So you have to figure out where your opportunity is for investing. If you're a broker and you just want to be an investor and just build a house and sell it, or you want to just buy and hold, whatever your strategy, but you have to figure out who are the contributing parties that are going to help you create that opportunity or bring that opportunity to you. Second, financing the real estate of the investing. So part of investing is learning how to leverage debt, is learning how to work with local banks, is learning how to work with private capital and maybe bridging finances from one project into another. So in real estate investing, you have to have relationships with financing or people who are in financing that can help you be partakers in this sector. So find out, and I know a lot of brokers don't have contacts for private money people, but you have to have contacts for private money people, because those are the people who float money and who are investment, and usually they're capital groups or private money capital or whatever. But these are people who have money and are investors in the market. You should get to know these people. Again, they might contribute to your business while you're contributing to their business via creating opportunity. Then once you held real estate in investment, whether it's development, townhomes, apartments, you have to understand property management. It is very important that you understand, as an investor, what does it mean to manage a property? What's the overhead? What's the hold time? What's the fallout rate? What's the vacancy rate? What's the eviction process? What's all of this? You have to understand, what does it take to manage this real estate property as an investor. Your money is only worth as good of a property manager you are. If the roof is leaking for 2 months and you have done nothing to it, that is a challenge as an investor. If you don't know how to find good tenants for your real estate property that you want to rent out, that is going to bring a challenge also. Because the minute you get poor tenants, now they're not paying, and then when they're not paying, you have to cover that payment, so now you got money out of your pocket. Now this investment opportunity just flopped on you. Instead of you making money, you're paying for these renters, and now you're paying an attorney to evict them. Now it has become your worst nightmare. And again, I've seen a lot of investors try real estate holding, and then they don't like the property management side of it, and then they just say they want to move on to something else. So it is another job. Property management is a job of itself. It's not maybe a high rewarder, but it's part of being in that investment world, or being part of that investor mindset. Another next step is you should understand legal and regulatory consideration. You should understand what it means to be an investor and all the legal obligations in that sector. I mean, I'm not just going to come up to some random guy and say, give me $50,000, and not understand the liability that is behind that. That's called seed money, right? So the minute you take seed money and then private money and first and second position or third and so forth, you start to get really creative, or investors start to get really creative on how they structure their financial portfolios. But it is very important that you know the legal aspect of all of this and work within the framework of those legal aspects. So you have to sit down with attorneys or CPAs or wealth advisors and understand the legal aspects that are to be taken into consideration when being an investor. And then building portfolio and scaling. That's probably part of your first reason why you want to invest. Do you want to hold 10 properties? Do you want to hold 5 properties? Do you want to hold 25 properties? This goes back on what is your goal. And usually you'll never jump above your goal. So if you don't want any rental properties, you'll probably never have any rental properties. If you want to have 5 rental properties, you'll have 5 rental properties. If you want to have 300 rental properties, you'll have 300. But the question is, what is your goal of scaling, and what do you want to do with that capital? So building a portfolio and scaling it is probably the last thing. Is you come back after you've learned and received an experience of what it means to have a life as an investor. Yes, it's not free work. A lot of people have a misconception thinking like being an investor is just like, I throw money at the market and just throws money back at me. No, that's not really how it works. It's truly a job. And sometimes you think investors make a lot of money in return. Sometimes it's more headache than money. So everybody who is an investor, they know the market. They study. They observe. They research. They invest. They pull money in. They pull money out. They figure out legal aspects. What does it take? If I pull money out, what is the tax obligation if I hold, if I pull money out, and so forth. This is a lot of research, and this is why I call it the life of an investor. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to try it out and see what happens. If you just try it out, nothing's going to happen. You have to embrace this life of an investor. You have to embrace it. You have to understand, like, this is my new career path. I am a real estate broker, or I am a team leader, but now I want to move into the space of an investor. And I want to buy my first real estate, then I want to build wealth, I want to buy my second real estate, I want to maybe leverage debt, then pay off debt. Like, this becomes your life. And when people ask you, what are you? Well, I'm an investor. But that doesn't mean like you're floating millions of dollars. This means this is your new lifestyle. You're trading your time, in research, you're trading your time in seeking opportunities and figuring out transactions, and then going back to first, you're really in the all day long is you're studying the language of numbers. Doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense, and so forth. What I want you to take away from the life of an investor, that it is truly a life commitment. Most successful investors that I find in our market or other market or hedge funds or Wall Streets and all of this, it is their lifestyle. You cannot look at Warren Buffett and just say, Warren Buffett was an investor for 1 year. That is not the statement that we should make. I look at him and I say, this is a lifestyle of an investor. He committed his life to it. He pressed. He studied. He worked through experiences. He worked through good times and bad times. But he's an investor in the market. And if you want to be an investor in the real estate market or work with investors in the real estate market, just have an understanding that it is not as easy as it seems. It is a lot of hard work, but it is definitely rewarding. And there's not a lot of investors who are in the real estate market at a very big scale. Most of them are, I would say, kind of the entry level of investors. But you can work up. And I found that a lot of brokers have become very phenomenal investors. Why? Because they're great seekers for opportunity. And that is truly what I would encourage a lot of our brokers who study through Powered by Ground is move into that space. You're in the market, you know the market, you know people in the market. Why don't you invest in your market? My biggest compliment to most people who invest is invest in your own industry. If I'm in real estate, I'm not going to go invest into cars. If I'm in real estate, I'm not going to go invest in manufacturing. I might not even go invest into stocks. Why? Because real estate is the market that I live in. So if you live in the real estate market like I do as a broker, this is the best investment opportunity to make, is making an investment opportunity in your own market.